Hello, and a very warm welcome to the New Mummy Company YouTube channel. Today we are here with Rebecca from Goldfish. Good morning and welcome, Rebecca.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
I would love to have you introduce yourself to our viewers so that they can learn a little bit about where Goldfish is and what you offer to our families locally.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Becca. I'm the marketing coordinator with Goldfish Swim School. We currently have two locations open in Ontario. We have one in Burlington and another in Oakville, with a third location set to open this summer in Stony Creek, which we're really excited about. We serve kids from the age of 4 months up until 12 years, and we teach them the fundamentals of water safety as well as just how to swim and be safer in and around the water.
Amazing, amazing. So that's wonderful that you've got another swim school coming out.
Yeah, we're very excited about it.
Excellent. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about safety in the water. We're going to be talking about all of the things that seasonally about this time of the year we all start looking for the sunshine and the warm weather. And with
Mhm.
that comes pools, seas, lakes, which obviously brings an element of risk. And that is our focus today, to help parents to understand a little bit more about knowing what to look out for and what to avoid. And obviously, and I know you would recommend that they obviously have swimming lessons as well. So the first question around water safety today, then, Rebecca, is why is water safety such a crucial topic for young children?
Well, for me, I find a lot of families will think it can't happen to me. That doesn't happen to families like us. It won't happen to me. But unfortunately, drowning does not discriminate. You can be the most caring parent in the world, but it only takes a second for an accident to happen. Like drowning is the number one cause of unintentional injury deaths among children aged 1 year to 4 years old. And it's the second leading cause of preventable death for children under 10. So
Wow.
those are big numbers that we obviously want to lower those statistics. So water safety is so important from every age. Like even when the mom is still pregnant, still carrying, water safety needs to be top of mind. It's huge.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's a really good point to make, is that we all assume, well, it's not going to happen to me. I'm a good parent and I'm very sensible and, all of those kind of things. But I think the statistics prove that unfortunately, none of that really comes into play, because accidents can and do happen, and it really only takes a second. So when we're talking about our demographic of the parents that we work in particular, obviously we're dealing with people who are pregnant and people who are having new babies. So generally under age of 1. Is that too
Mhm.
early, or what age should children start learning water safety skills?
So we start our lessons at 4 months old. 4 months old for babies is around the time they start developing those motor skills. They start to get a little bit more active. They can lift their head up and kind of hold it up. They can start to move their arms around. So introducing them to water safety at that age not only continues to develop those motor skills, but it also develops a love for the water early. That's a huge thing. Like even bath time is a great example for when you can introduce your babies to water safety, get them used to the splashes, use the little dip cups to pour it over their head so they get used to it being in their ears. Because if
Right.
they start early, they foster a love for it. And in our mini classes, it's play based. So everything that they're doing, it's not like they're going in and doing like the swim strokes right away. They're going in and they're being taught to turn towards the wall. We have our bubbles up on the wall. So you bring your baby into the water and you immediately turn them around and say, "Hi, Bubbles." And you're getting them used to turning around and finding the closest edge to go near to. You're starting to develop those skills early so that then you can build up on them as they develop and get older.
Wonderful. That's a really great hint for new parents. What are the biggest myths about water safety that parents should be aware of? Because I know there's a lot of them out there. So can
There's a
we
lot.
try and set the record straight just a little?
Yeah, there's so many. I find a really, really big one is in the movies where we're so used to seeing like huge like splashes about and screaming when someone's drowning, like yelling for help when they're drowning. Drowning is silent and it happens in seconds. It isn't this dramatic flailing about looking for help. You could look away for a second and then you look back and they're at the bottom of the pool. It happens just like that, so quickly, and it isn't dramatic. And that's what's so scary about it. That's a Yeah, it's
That
scary.
that's a pretty scary thought
Yeah.
that, because we are led to believe that, maybe I'm showing my age here, but with Baywatch or,
Yeah.
any of those types of shows, and, it happens obviously in other shows that there
Mhm.
is time for the lifeguard to get from, their beach hut all the way in to save somebody. Obviously, that kind of give us the impression that it is a dramatic event, but I think that's going to be quite a, a hard hitting moment for parents to realize that that's not
Yeah.
the case.
Yeah.
So, is it true that if a child falls into the water, they will instinctively know how to float? Because a lot of people think that children or adults instinctively know how to float. Is that true? I've heard that a few times.
It's not true. So it is, you have to be taught to float on your back. Like it's true that if a baby were to go underwater, they would instinctively hold their breath. That's just a human reaction. But they wouldn't then know to hold that breath while they're underwater. They could start gasping. It's the
Okay.
same with floating on your back. You don't instinctively fall in and then go right onto your back into a starfish. A lot of the time, like people are floaty, we're very buoyant, but you
Yeah.
don't know to do the flip. And that's
Right.
what's so important. And they might not know to stay calm while they're in that flip, while they're in the backflow. It's so important to stay calm and take a deep breath, chin to the sky, and look at the ceiling while you're floating. It's
Mhm.
really scary to fall in the water, especially if you're a young child and this is the first time this has ever happened to you. Even if it's the second time this has ever happened to you, there is a lot of panic there. And if you haven't learned to take those deep breaths, to stay calm, to float on your back, to find the nearest edge, then
Yeah.
you won't know to do that instinctively.
Not to mention that most of the time when you do fall into a body of water, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be a very pleasant experience because it's going to be cold.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's very disorientating.
and then there is that sensation that you're not automatically going, oh, nice deep breaths. This is a relaxed
Yeah,
experience. It's not, and it
yeah,
is quite a shock.
yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
definitely something that needs to be taught.
So that's one myth out the door.
Yes,
They don't
yes,
know what to do. Okay.
they don't.
So if we then try and put a more positive spin on this, because obviously we've talked about some pretty unimaginable scenarios
Yeah.
already. What are the practical tips for parents that we can chat about then when parents are thinking about the upcoming season,
Hmm.
being by the pool, being by the sea, being by a lake? What are the safety rules that parents should be considering for themselves, and then to start reinforcing now so that they have time before the warm weather arrives? How do we get that? What do we tell children? What do they need to know?
So I think as a parent, first of all, you need to be active when you're watching your kids. It can't be, oh, well, I'm sitting out here, my kids are swimming, but I'm here, so they're fine. It needs to be active participation in watching them because a huge percentage of the statistics that we're seeing of drowning related incidents, I think it's more than 90% of them were due to not being watched properly. It was either absent or distracted. And that's a huge number. So just being active, like the phone call can wait. If you need to run and grab a towel, grab your kid first and grab the towel with them. It's a little bit of water, like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you're bringing inside to bring your child with you. It takes a couple of seconds to be distracted, and those distractions can wait. But
Mhm.
when we're preparing our kids, no one swims alone. And that feeds into the first rule. No one swims alone. Even if you have two children swimming together, two children does not equal an adult.
No.
It needs to be an adult is actively watching the kids while they swim. So that is a huge rule that the kids need to respect. It's the same as no horseplay, no running around the pool, trying to limit accidents that way, being so careful because it's really slippery around the pool and you could fall, you could hit your head, you could fall in, all of these things. I would be careful of diving. Like, make sure when you're jumping in, jump in with your feet first. Don't risk your head doing that. I would say a huge thing for parents, especially if you have an outdoor pool or you have friends or family that have an outdoor pool, teach them how to tread. Make sure that they know the basic skills. Make sure that they know how to tread. Make sure they know how to float on their back, how they can get out of the pool.
Mhm.
And make sure, as I said, the main thing is have someone watching them. And as parents and as a family, have an emergency plan. If
Right.
something happens, designate one of the kids, like, okay, if this happens, you're gonna call 911. You're gonna go grab the rubber ring to throw, don't go, all of that stuff. Designate tasks to your family members so that if this does happen, you have a plan ready to go.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. So you mentioned family pools. Is it a law or is there some requirement for parents that they have to fence in a pool or have specific precautionary measures like that? Obviously, we're in Ontario, so we're just speaking to Ontario right now, but is that something that parents need to know about?
Yeah, there is an Ontario law that states that you do need to have your pool fenced in. There are a few different requirements. I know they have to be self-closing and self-latching so that then the fence isn't left open for someone to wander in. And there's height requirements and all of that. It depends where you are, but yes, it is a law in Ontario that you need to fence in your pool
Okay.
for a good
So
reason.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So what
Yeah.
can parents do to practice water safety at home, bearing in mind that, they might have their own pool or their neighbors have a pool or
Yeah.
their friends have pools? What can parents do to make sure that for kids, I guess maybe for those particularly that are spending a lot of summer
Mhm.
time visiting friends or their own pool, what can parents really do to sort of make sure that water safety is a priority?
I think a big one, especially if there's a big group, brightly colored bathing suits are huge. That
Yes.
goes for everyone. Not only, I say in a big group because it helps you spot your kid. You can pick them out of a crowd. But every child should have a brightly colored bathing suit because if you notice, the further you go underwater with a color, the less vibrant it is. So if you're wearing blue underwater, that's just gonna be
Disappear
invisible
all.
by the time, yeah, by the time they reach a few feet, you won't be able to see them at all. So I recommend really vibrant bathing suits like oranges, bright pinks, all of those really vibrant colors, all of the summer colors.
Yes.
Those will help visibility. Like especially like imagine your child is on the bottom of the pool. If they're in a brightly colored bathing suit, you'll be able to spot them a lot faster than if they were in like a muted or a neutral or like I said, like a blue. So
Yes.
that's a good thing to practice. But more than 70% of drownings do occur at home. And it doesn't always mean a pool, it could be a bathtub. So making sure we always take all of the toys out of the bathtub when we're done so they're not leaning in. Toddlers are really top heavy. So if they lean in, even if they lean over an open toilet seat, they could be
True.
they're top heavy, they
Yes.
could just fall in. It
Yes.
takes an inch of water for a child to drown. It's not much.
Yeah.
So making sure that we fully drain the bathtub when bathtub time is done, taking out the toys so that they're not tempted to go in. Children are naturally curious and they're fascinated by water,
Yes.
which can be great to foster a love for swimming, but it also is really dangerous because they are just very interested in it. So we need to do our best to protect them. So that's why toilet latches are so important. Like all of those those baby proof features. And like I said, closing the toilet, draining the bathtub. If we have pool time, take all the toys out so that they're not tempted to lean in and grab them. It's,
Yeah,
yeah,
and I
it's
think
so
that's a
scary.
very good point that you made about emptying the bathtub, because sometimes the instinct is to take the child out of the bath because we don't drain the bath because we're afraid they're going to
Mhm.
get cold.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously when you take the baby out of the bath, they generally cry because it's a cold situation.
Hmm.
Or you take a toddler out of the bath and they're like, "Oh, mommy, I'm freezing." And
Yeah,
so instinctively, you are prioritizing your child, which you should do. But then you think,
absolutely.
oh, I'll come back to the bath afterwards once they're in bed. But like you said, if they decide that they want a particular toy or they want something, it really is only a split second. So I think that's a very good point
Yeah.
to highlight to parents, to make
Yeah.
sure to empty the bath as soon
Yeah.
as they're done.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like, yeah.
so we've talked about the precautionary measures we should take. We've talked about water safety. So now let's look at swimming lessons, because I know that you're going to advocate because that's what you do. But what should parents be looking for when they start choosing a swimming lesson or a swimming class? What are the things that, is important, or the things that you do as a swim school to promote learning how to swim,
Mhm.
as opposed to, just playing in the water?
Yeah. Yeah. So I class size and student to teacher ratio is really important. The smaller the class size, the more personalized attention the child will get. It also is safer because then you only have a handful of kids to one instructor. Obviously, we have lifeguards all around the pool at all times, but that just makes it even safer. So for us, we have a 4-to-1 student teacher ratio. So our
Oh,
one instructor is in charge for those 4 kids. In baby lessons, when it's mom and tots, it's 6-to-1. So you have the added safety and attention of the parents being in the water too. But 4-to-1, it means that they can personalize the class. And if there's a skill that they need to work on, they can focus on that skill. And when it's a big class size, they might not even notice that this kid does need to work on, say, their treading or their kicks or something like that. When it's in a smaller group, you don't have eyes on 10 different children. You have eyes on
of
4 of
course.
them. So you can really make sure that their progress is personalized. Certified instructors, experienced instructors are a huge plus, obviously, when you're choosing a swimming school. A huge emphasis on water safety is really important as well. Um, Parent involvement for mini classes is something I would look for as well because it does. I know you could get nervous putting your child in swim lessons, especially when they are so small. I completely understand that. So having the ability to go in with your child for those first few months of swimming classes, I think are so important. They're great bonding moments for parents and their kids as well. So I think that's a really great thing to look for as well. And then structured progression levels. So making sure that each level is structured for your child to progress. Like at Goldfish, our lessons are perpetual, so it's not like at the beginning of the month you start in this level and you don't pass until you've developed the skills or until the class is over. And if you don't pass, you have to start all over again.
Okay.
When lessons are perpetual, you work on the skills until you get them. You can start at any time, you can change your classes, you're not stuck in a class spot. So I think the flexibility of that is huge because one size doesn't necessarily fit all.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
So that information has been really great, but maybe it might be helpful for parents to understand what an actual lesson looks
Mhm.
like at Goldfish. What would a parent typically experience, whether they're in the water with a young
Mhm.
baby or whether they're sitting observing from the sidelines?
Yeah, so like I said, at 4 months, you would be going into the pool with them. And that would be a lot of play-based learning. So we use the science of swim play. which is the philosophy that children learn best through play. So every level does include a play-based element to it. So with the minis, it's a lot of songs. It's a lot of, like I said, putting the toys on the side. They spin around, go high bubbles. They have they use their motor skills to pick up balls. Like we'll throw a bunch of balls into the water and they'll have to use their hands to pick them up and put them back in the bucket. They practice their balance by sitting on like the fishy mats and that kind of thing. And then as they work up, obviously we start to introduce more water safety skills to build up on the original turn to the wall. So that's when you learn like your crab pinches, fin belly flipper to get out of the pool, back floats, the pulls, the kicks, that kind of thing. And then that develops and up to more advanced swim strokes. So then you go from like freestyle, backstroke, then you get into dolphin, butterfly, all of that stuff. So we've seen kids start from our mini levels and then they go to swim force, which is our competitive level. So you can see a kid go from 4 months to 12 years in our program. And it's amazing to see them go from what looks like playing and splashing around, which is actually building life-saving skills, to then going into competitive. It's really, really cool. But yeah, any level other than minis, the parents are sitting on the pool deck. Or not the pool deck, sorry, the parent viewing area, which is nice and air conditioned. So then they can watch their swimmers' progress as they go. Our lifeguards do a progress report. So they'll come up and say how your swimmer's doing. At the end of every lesson, we will ask your student to display a skill that they've learned that day so they can kind of show off to mom and dad what they've learned. And yeah, it's really nice.
That sounds really fun. And obviously it is really important to make it fun for the kids to
Mhm.
keep them engaged and wanting to come back. So how do you incorporate water safety when you're
Hmm.
doing your swimming lessons? Because obviously the swimming is just one major fundamental part of it, but
Yeah.
how do we incorporate that in as well, or do you do that?
So we do that with, like I said, we build upon the turning to face the wall to find a safe edge to climb to safety. We build on that to then do crab pinches as they get a little bit older. We do it in our mini lessons as well, but it's just kind of the parents holding the babies moving across the wall. So then as they get older, they learn to then hold themselves up on the wall themselves. And then we have what we call fin belly flipper to get out of the pool. So they use their fins, which is their arms. So it's like one fin on the side, second fin on the side, you pull up on your belly, and then you
Okay.
use your flipper, which would be your leg, to then push yourself up to the side.
Right.
So we do that with them and we make it fun by then once they're out on the wall. It's just like, okay, what kind of animal do you want to be when you get in the pool? And then we'll pull them in the pool, pull them under, and then they'll turn around and then get out of the pool themselves. And then we obviously we celebrate everything with high fives. We give out a lot of ribbons to kind of encourage them to build those skills up.
So we're talking about real life water safety situations
Yeah.
here that kids are able to know what to do in the
Hmm.
event of
Yeah.
whatever happening.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself as a parent in a situation where a child falls into the water unexpectedly,
Yeah.
and we all know just how quickly and how easily that can happen. Um,
Yeah.
can you walk us through what a parent should do? Like, should they be joining them in the water, like calling 911? Like,
Yeah.
obviously, your instinct is to panic because you've just had this big
Of
fight, but
course.
obviously, your child's just had this fight too. What
Yeah.
is the sensible, most appropriate
Yeah.
way to approach this?
So call for help. First of all, time is crucial, as we've said. Um, and trying to stay calm as much as possible, especially I'm sure as a parent you've noticed that if we get a little bit panicky, our kids can feed off of that and then they internalize that and then they could become a bit panicky themselves. So staying calm for our kids to be like, it's okay, like stay like can just help us also have a clearer head to evaluate the situation because I'm sure you could just panic and jump in and put yourself in danger. We recommend throw, don't go. So if you have a pool at home, you should always have either a reaching pole that is long enough to reach on all sides of the pool to reach in the middle for a child to hold on to, or a lifeguard tube like we have at the pool, or even like a big rubber ring, like a buoy attached to a rope. So then you would throw that into the pool for your child to hold on to, and then you would pull that in. Because
Okay.
if you were to jump in and your child could be panicking, if they're flailing around, they could grab onto you for safety and pull you under as well. And then you're both of you are in danger. So throw don't go is it's a big mental block to get over because I know that is an instinct a lot of the time, but
Yes.
to be able to stay calm and actually assess the situation instead of just reacting is huge when it comes to a situation like this.
Okay. So
So
throw,
throw don't
don't
go,
go.
yeah, throw don't go is a big one, and always have a flotation device or a reaching pole if you have a pool or even near a body of water, even if you have a pond,
Mhm.
something like that, or live near a lake. Those are really important things to have. And knowing CPR is huge
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
especially if your child is unconscious by the time you pull them out, you do need to obviously call 911, but CPR can keep them alive while you're waiting for paramedics.
Absolutely. And depending on your location, it's going to determine the response time of
Yeah,
the paramedics. And
yeah,
as you know, time is of the essence when it comes to performing CPR. It's a good opportunity for me to mention that we provide CPR training for parents.
awesome.
And this is something that at this time of the year starts to come to the top of your mind of I must do that. But that is definitely something that we would recommend that people are doing regularly, because if you don't use it, you get rusty. So we want to make
Yes.
sure that parents are aware that they should be taking the CPR course regularly. Um, with drowning, Rebecca, is this something that parents need to be, and I don't want to make this too morbid, but
Mhm.
is drowning, is it really that easy for a child to drown? I guess is the difficult question.
Yeah. And as scary as it is, yes,
Okay.
it is that easy. Like I said, it takes one phone call, one distraction, a handful of seconds, 1 inch of water. Like children's lungs are very, very small. So it
Yes.
only takes an inch of water for them to drown,
Wow. Okay.
which is absolutely terrifying. So remaining vigilant and making sure that we have active watch over our kids is huge.
Mhm. Okay. So really important that parents take away from today that it can happen to anybody. It just takes an inch of water and it just takes a few
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot for a parent who is maybe going on their first foreign
Hmm.
vacation or going to a lake house this year. So those are things that we would want them to really think about. Obviously, between now and the summer vacation, the height of summer vacation, there's only a few months. It's not realistic to think we can teach a child to swim in that time. But
Hmm.
there are obviously things that we can suggest to parents in terms of how to remain calm in the event of a water emergency. So
Hmm.
obviously you've mentioned quite a few of them above already. Um,
Hmm.
can we just reiterate that, because I think in light of what we've just reaffirmed for parents, it's so important that their child doesn't get anxious or start to
Hmm.
panic even more. So can we just reiterate that to parents if you don't mind?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think my main thing is ask yourself if my child were to fall in the water, would they know how to float? Would they
Okay.
know how to tread water? Would they know how to find the nearest edge? Would they know how to pull and kick? Those are really scary questions, but if the answer is no, then swimming and water safety is hugely important to prepare them when going on vacations and this kind of thing. And you shouldn't wait until your child expresses an interest in swimming. I know, I know that kids can be nervous when it comes to trying like a new sport or something like that. But swimming isn't just an extracurricular activity. It's not just a sport. It's a life-saving skill that they do need to develop. Like the statistics are terrifying, but they are preventable. Drowning is preventable. Swimming lessons, formal swimming lessons, reduce the risk of drowning by 88%.
Wow.
And that is a big number that I like to see.
Yes.
We've talked about
Yes.
the really scary high statistics, but
Yes.
that is quite a high statistic that we can use because drowning is preventable. We just need to develop those skills early, even when our kids are nervous.
Yes. Wow. That's a huge number in a good way.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So one final question that I have. I'm conscious I don't want to take up too much of your
Okay.
busy workday because I know how busy, especially right now, you are. What is the one piece of advice that you wish every parent knew about water safety and what you want them to take away from watching this particular video?
I think the main thing is just knowing it could happen to anyone and knowing that you do need to pay attention because you would think that just because you're out there with your kids, like I've said, they'll be safe because you're there. There's an adult there, they're fine. Or they're watching each other, they're siblings, they've got it, they've got each other. And unfortunately, they don't. They don't. And just because you can be like, oh, well, that's happened 1,000 times and nothing's ever happened. Like I said, it only takes one time for something to go wrong, for one mistake.
Yeah.
So that even though it hasn't happened yet, it doesn't mean that it can't. And that's a terrifying thing to say, but it's true. And it's really important. And just get your children into swimming lessons, get them developing water safety early. They're life-saving skills that they can use their entire lives.
Absolutely. Okay. So where can parents find more resources in general about water safety, um, and all of that kind of information? And then, of course, please let us know more about your locations and your particular swim school.
So we have resources. I do water safety presentations at schools and daycares and
Lovely.
other educational facilities. So I come in to teach the kids the fundamentals of water safety. So you can always book me to come to your school.
Amazing.
Um, but then the Life Saving Society has some amazing educational resources. They have water safety training and other courses that you can look into to build those skills for yourself. And then just enroll in swim lessons. That's the number one piece of advice I can give.
Yes.
And it's not just if you want your child to become an Olympic swimmer. That doesn't have to be the end goal.
No, of
It's
course.
just for them to be safe and for them to be water confident and for them to feel like they got this, like to give them the skills so that they're comfortable and confident. And then when you're watching them, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Active. Yeah. Actively
And
watching.
remind us again, Rebecca, you are based in Oakville and Burlington, and you have a third
Yes.
location about to open.
Yes. So our third Goldfish Swim School is set to open this summer in Stony Creek, which we're really,
Okay.
really excited about. Yeah. So we
Wonderful.
have three locations in Ontario.
And you take babies from 4 months.
Mhm.
What is the oldest age of children that you take into swimming lessons?
It's 4 months to 12 years.
12 years.
12
Wonderful.
years.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And how long is a swimming lesson? Is a good question to
They're
ask. Yes.
yeah, so they're typically 30 minutes until you get into the competitive level,
Okay.
into swim force. That one's longer, but they're 30 minutes each.
Okay. And
Which
the, the timing of classes, like I'm just thinking about working parents,
yeah,
the evenings and weekends as much as anything else, or
yeah,
what?
we have evenings and weekends, and then a few days during the week we do have morning and afternoon lessons as well.
So I'm guessing babies come in the morning and the afternoon
Yes. Yeah,
more
we see
than.
it. Yeah, we see a lot of babies coming in the morning and then on the weekends as well. And then we do also during the summer we run our Jumpstart Clinic program.
Okay.
So they're this year it's 9 weeks of basically summer camp. So every week
Ah, okay.
is a clinic. Yeah. So they learn it's a month of progress in 1 week.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
four or five lessons, consecutive lessons that week at the same time with the same instructor. So then if they come every day, they're building up on those skills from the day before. We see kids jumping several levels in a week because they're
So a
so
very intensive set
focused.
of training for them.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's one way to exhaust your children is to send them to you for summer
Exactly.
camp.
Exactly. If you want a little, yeah, if you want a little bit of a break. Yeah.
I think that could be a very popular option for parents this summer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and they're developing the life-saving skills at the same time, so it's a win-win.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're
Yeah.
you're getting a very happy, healthy, and tired child home at the
Yeah.
end of the day. I think
Exactly.
that's a win in every parent's book.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And like I said, lessons are perpetual, so you can start whenever you want. We'll find the class slot that best fits your needs. We do offer free trial lessons as well. So
Oh, amazing.
if anyone wants to give us a try, free trial lesson.
Okay. Well, we will pop all of the information in relation to the location of the three swim schools, the website, and your social media in the show notes down below. So if anybody would like to learn more about either your safety skills, water safety skills, education training, the swimming lessons for their children, or even to sign up for a free trial class, all of that information will be down below. So we'll be able to share that out. And then if anybody has any questions or if anybody has any comments, please put them in the comment section below. We always love to hear your thoughts and feedback on our videos and the content that we're producing for you. If you like today's video, please do give us a thumbs up. It really helps us more than you know. And I would just like to take a moment to thank Rebecca from Goldfish Swim School for joining us today. Thank you, Rebecca. We really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great to chat with you.
It was lovely to chat with you. So that's it from us. We will be back with another video very soon. And in the meantime, do remember to hit the subscribe button so that you get the notification of all of our videos as they are released. That's it from us for now. Goodbye, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.